There's not a massive amount to say really about the heat exchangers. Riser tube, and obviously your exchanger, you know, it goes around that, and the only critical thing to say really is just make sure this gap, as I've already mentioned, is enough for all your gases to get out. An exchanger, the steel does not really deteriorate, because although it gets damned hot, it never really gets hot enough to destroy it. But what you do get on the exchanger, you'll get a fine amount of shaling, and that's purely condensation coming out from your fuel. When you first light your stove, because this is cold, the exchanger's cold, you'll get condensation off the fuel just sitting against the walls, and that kind of soaks into the steel, and you've always got moisture moving through these things, you know. It doesn't tend to stick, it tends to blow it out the flue after a while, but it's that condensation that kind of causes the inside to shale off. I think it would be many years before it became a problem, in so much as the wall was so thin that you was actually getting holes in it. So it's not something I concern myself about really. People are constantly saying, you know, how thick should the exchanger be? Well, there's no reason for it to be really thick. For that reason, it's not something that the stove will destroy. The top, I can understand why the top needs to be thicker, because you get a lot of thermal expansion in the top from, you know, that rapid heat up, and you saw mine, it caused the top to bow on my exchanger. But I've left it, you know, I did weld a plate underneath just to stop some of that heat hitting the top, you know, with some little legs on it, and it worked. You know, it's calmed it down, it's fine. So you don't need, you know, a massive thick top. If you want to put a thick top on, fine, do put one on. But the problem with a thicker exchanger and a thicker top, it's not very good at giving off heat, because, you know, it's a lot thicker, so the heat takes longer to penetrate and to heat it up. So for maximum sort of heat, you want a fairly thin exchanger. 2mm, 1 to 2mm is absolutely fine. You see guys building them all the time with 56-gallon barrels, and I just don't see a problem with them. So I would never go really too heavy on the sides of the exchanger. But you know, if you wanted to use, say, 1/4 inch thick exchanger, just do it, but be aware it's going to take a long while for the heat to penetrate that, and any heat that doesn't penetrate the exchanger is just going to go out your flue. So thinner wall stuff is better. Okay, so you know, there's obviously all sorts of shapes and sizes of exchanger. You know, you've got your round ones and square ones in the main. But the reason I made a square one was because it's just more surface area, pure and simple. I didn't have anything else as well, so, and I bought the steel to make it just to fit in that corner and to look tidy. So the bigger your exchanger, the more surface area you've got, the more heat can get out of your riser tube. And that really, guys, is all I've got to say on exchangers. It is the most simple part of the rocket stove. You know, there's nothing really you can get wrong on an exchanger. Build it how you want. The vis-a-vis flue, I've already mentioned about flues, and I've said, you know, 5 inches should be the minimum you're looking at for a heater, for say a good workshop heater. And you don't really need to go much more than 6 inches. I don't think you'll gain anything from anything other from a 5 to 6 inch flue. Beyond that, I don't think you'll really gain anything. If you're putting in a flue, that's going to warm, say, a cob, and it's a long flue, and it may even be turning round on itself, you know, and coming back. In fact, kind of that is how my first flue was on my rocket stove, and it turned and it went out. Well, you get, I found you just get lots of condensation hanging in this. It does work, but you get a lot of condensation hanging in these pipes, and my flue pipes that were in that configuration, they rotted away within 2 years internally with the condensation and the water in them. If you're going to do that, guys, I'd use stainless steel like this this flue liner that I'm using now. I think that would be fine, but one thing, guys, just keep it running up like that. Keep it running up all the time so that anything that gets in there can drain back in towards your rocket stove. That's essentially how mine is at the moment. It just takes a turn behind the bench and then goes up. The other thing is, guys, you're going to need a clean out door on your exchanger. That's if you don't want to keep removing the top every year. And you can just simply make a little panel just with 4 screws in, so you can just get a hoover in and clean up inside the exchanger, because they will fill up over time with a really fine ash that, you know, just gets carried up the exchanger with the gases. So that is it, chaps. That's the exchanger and the flue, and really not much more to say on that subject. Cowls are good. If you're in an area that, you know, like me, you get a lot of downdraft, I'd recommend you put a cowl, some form of cowl on, just to stop the wind, you know, going back and blowing smoke out your firebox. That's it. So if there's any topic you want me to talk about, guys, or any other videos you'd like me to do for you patron chaps, just leave me a comment, will you, below this video, and I will see what I can do. But I will get some more videos up soon anyway. I'm doing one at the moment on some San Mai. I have just done and failed at 3 times. The video's in the editor, but I've just not had time to do it. So I'll be going for my 4th attempt on some San Mai, probably in a couple of weeks, because I've got a load of knives to get ready for my next show. I'm currently making 10 of these little things, 10 little puko knives, and I'm going to give one of these pukos away to one of you patron chaps. So I'll be doing a draw on one of these in the next couple of weeks, fellas. So stick with me. I will see you soon.